phases and stages, circles and cycles, and scenes that we've all seen before. Let me tell you some more.
Willie Nelson is an American country singer, songwriter, and guitarist. He's had a long and illustrious career starting around 1956, and he is still going. So, his 75th solo studio album is due to be released this year, and he is 90. I am recording this introduction in 2024. He is known as one of the originators of Outlaw Country in the 70s, um, which was a small movement of being able to get a career in country going outside of the Nashville stranglehold. He is very vocal and supportive of the legalization of marijuana, and he plays a classical guitar called Trigger, which has many of his friends' signatures scratched into it. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the 17th studio album by Willie Nelson, and it's my first time listening to it. And I followed the process, which I normally do, which is that I listened once, then read up on it, and then listened to it again. So when I read up on it, I found out something that hadn't actually picked up from listening to it, which is that it's a concept album about a divorce. It's not apparently particularly about one of his divorces. He has had some. It's a fictitious situation. And side one is from the woman's point of view, and side two is from the man's point of view. The other thing that I found out when I read up about it was that it was recorded twice. So the first time was recorded at Muscle Shoals, with some of the legendary Muscle Shoals band being part of uh, some of the instrumentalists here. And then was recorded again with Willie Nelson's own touring band. However, when somebody at the label heard the second recording, they hated it and they released it with the first set of recordings. So that's some background. What I tend to do in these reviews is give some background, some description, and some opinion. So let's do the description bit. It's country. There's really no doubt about this, that this is slap bang country. There's some fast country, there's some slow country, but it's definitely pedal steel guitar, there's strong emotions, there's occasional string sections going on here. So those of you who've been with me for a while will know that I have a bit of a thing about country, as in I'm not a huge fan. So I am trying, as I go through this list, to give all albums a fair listen as much as I can. Of course, I'm going to have my opinions. So I'm trying really hard to open my heart to things that I don't like on principle, and to listen to albums in isolation. In that sense, I found with this album that reading about it helped, and understanding that it's a concept album gave me a better context for the album. I Yeah, I'll come back to this. I think I liked the first half better than the second half. Sometimes there's points at which this isn't a detriment, but it felt like a showcase for the musicians. When you had the instrumental sections, it kind of do a section of the piano and a section of the guitar and a section of something else. And it felt like they were taking it in turns to show off a bit. Again, this is not a particular detriment. It's played well. It's produced slickly. I think, for my taste, a little bit too slickly. So I do struggle with. There are three things that I have identified as things that I struggle with country, which are pedal steel guitar, that kind of kind of thing. The same kind of sound you get in Hawaiian music at times, and I don't mind it in Hawaiian music. Why do I mind it in country? I don't know. I don't mind slide on other kinds of guitars. Somehow it's just the sound of it. Number two is nasal singing, and the kind of yeah. And number three is overly emotionally manipulative songs. Okay, so we've definitely got the pedal steel, which I was struggling a little bit with. There are other sides, so There are when country starts to stray into bluegrass or folk. Actually, I very quickly start to embrace it. So there's some really nice fiddle at one point, and some of the playing on the album feels more genuine than some of the others. Um, as is often the case with country, I prefer the faster tracks and the more folky bits rather than the slow and slushy. And maybe it's that's what it is with the pedal steel, is that it's indicating this slow and slushiness. The singing is very country. It's is it nasal? I'm not quite sure. It's quite casual. It's I find it very hard to describe voices. This is something I'm constantly challenged by as doing these reviews. I think he's got a pretty voice. It's interesting that his voice does not really match his face very much, I would say. He's got this kind of rugged, bearded look, and his voice sounds more like it's a clean voice. It's technically very strong, and he's maybe a bit low on consonants, so it comes out vowel strong. That's not something that can help. But I think maybe it feels a bit. There's a bit of a disconnect between the style of the singing and of the music at times and the substance. And I think this is again, part of the country thing of singing about something that's really, really quite heartbreaking and singing about it in quite a casual way. Um, Again, maybe I'm just looking for excuses not to like it. So I think this thing about style and substance also here includes there are some occasions where there's fast songs for sad ideas, and I know that that can be made to work well, and it happens a lot in pop. I did feel a disconnect here in Bloody Mary Morning, that song. So, yeah, let's do a bit more. Recurring song snatch about faces and stages. So this ties the album together. There's this little kind of bit with just him singing with his guitar, obviously his classical guitar trigger, and that's one thing that is unusual about this in terms of country, is the kind of predominance of this classical sounding guitar that comes into here. Most of the songs are, of course, about different aspects of breakup and heartbreak, given the concept. As I said, I preferred the first side. I think it was just musically and a little bit thematically stronger, I felt. I don't really have a favourite track, but I do have two tracks that I did react quite strongly against. So the second worst track is I Still Can't Believe You're Gone, which is just a slow, slushy, absolutely laden with the emotional strings stuff. Sounds very much like the Green Green Grass of Home, if you know that track, but easily the worst track because of the theme and the lyrics is the next track after it, which is it's not supposed to be about that. It's not supposed to be that way, which is about not being able to see the kid because they've had a divorce and he can't, he's not there for the kid growing up. Oh my goodness, it's so overly sentimental and it's foul in my mind. The word mawkish is a great word to describe this sort of overly sentimental stuff. So I've got mixed feelings. Um, some of it I relatively enjoyed. Most of it is bearable. Bits are enjoyable. Some I really struggled with. It's well executed and it's interesting to have a concept album in country, which was done against the advice of the label and other people around him. So he had to push for this. I would say if you like country, this is probably a great album. Uh, but the problem is, I don't fundamentally embrace country yet, except in some. There are some exceptions. So it's it's a mixed one from me, and but yes, as always, I'm struggling over my words. As always, I'd like to invite you to tell me what you think of this album. So please do leave a comment. And that's it from me for now.
Pretend I never happened and erase me from your mind. You will not want to remember any love's cold